Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Dr. Said Says This About That. And the reason it's playing right now is because there's no pause button. Oh, there's supposed to be one, but you can't find it. So I have to just play it while I'm doing my introduction, and then I'll hold it up so you can see what was in the news today. Let's see what they say. So let me, and there's there. Wow. Okay, Governor Abbott. Two things going on here. One is you're standing up for Texas. Good for you. You're taking a stand and you're going in front of the cameras. I am so proud of you. Good for you. So, what Governor Abbott is saying is that these organizations, CAIR, CARE, and the Muslim Brotherhood are terrorist organizations. Therefore, they can't buy land. And so I think that's a little bit overstating it. The first thing I thought is don't call people names. I have a rule in here, no name calling and no labeling. Well, you're a whatever. That is not effective communication, Governor Abbott. I'm sorry. So look for a different way to approach this problem. I would like to suggest that you start analyzing the approach to interacting with other populations that the Muslims tend to do. It's really interesting that right after that newscast was another newscast, right after was what was going on over there in Gaza. Well, what happened? Well, it started off with the Hamas, somebody from Gaza, went and killed a Israeli soldier. Well, that's terrible. Why would they do it? I thought there was a ceasefire. This is just out of control. And so you started thinking, well, that's not good. I'm going to do everything I can to get through this podcast. This is so difficult. And so you're tempted to blame Hamas. But as soon as they get past that, they say that the day before, today's Wednesday, the day before, on Monday, is that it there? A group of colonists, anyway, Israelis, had attacked a home, lighting it on fire, breaking windows. Oh, so that's why it happened the next day, on Tuesday. So he's sitting there saying something in Arabic, and then it starts over. And what blows my mind, now they're going to start anew. Let's see if it'll turn on.
Tension resulting from attacks in the West Bank and an Israeli strike in Lebanon. Fox's Ted Lindner reports.
Escalating tensions in the West Bank after Israeli officials say two Palestinian attackers stabbed at least one Israeli to death and wounded three others on Tuesday.
Stabbed one to death,
by troops.
And then they killed him.
Taking place on a portion of a busy roadway south of Jerusalem, where previous attacks have occurred. Hamas is not claiming responsibility.
We demand that the state launches a hard attack on everything related to the terrorist mechanisms here in the area on the Palestinian Authority.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
A heart attack on the eyewitness. And so they're all so self-righteous. We're in the wrong, and the other people. I'll try again. We're in the right. The other person is in the wrong. See, on Monday, they were burning her house. And so don't do that. Anytime you decide to go and be destructive, 99% of the time, that's wrong. Don't be destructive. And then look what it did. It triggered them to attack Israel yesterday on Tuesday.
The unrest in the Middle East follows the United Nations decision this week to pass a Trump administration resolution allowing for the creation of a temporary international force to militarize the Gaza Strip.
To govern Gaza Strip toward an independent Palestinian state. You would think that would be a good goal to have, right? No, the Israelis are totally against that. Okay, I can understand their reasoning, but I'm trying to get down to brass tacks. And that is neither side have what I call personality health. Personality health is I am considerate of your needs, and I will act that way. The opposite of that is ego. And I'm going to say an ego drive. And I'm going to call it an ego drive mechanism. And so that's going to be an EDM. I would love it if EDM caught on as this neural connection in the mind and the brain that makes me say, my ideas are good. What I want is super cool. Oh, you're against that? Well, you're evil. You're terrible. And when somebody goes ahead and does something, and then they justify it, I call that OK Green Jay. Let me show you that on the board. Well, right there. OK Green Jay. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm right in this situation. I have righteousness behind my behavior. It's expedient what I'm doing, and it's totally excusable what I'm doing. In fact, what we're doing is necessary, and therefore it's justified. Okay, Green Jay. Okay? But that's very seldom true. It is an ego defensive maneuver, an EDM, or you could call it an EDM, ego defensive maneuver. Oh, they're both EDM. Okay, ego defensive maneuver or ego drive mechanism. And it just means the brain is just flooded with these neural firings that says, I'm good, I'm right, I don't do anything wrong. I mean, it's a picture of mental ill health. Do you really want to show the world that you're kind of mentally ill? Not in the axis 1, like depression or schizophrenia. Axis 2, personality disorder. Okay, and the leading thing to that is egopathy. Right there. Egopathic parent on my chart, coming out of TA, the parent, but the worst level of parent is the egopathic parent, and then you take it up literally off the chart, it goes to a 10, and you start hitting somebody, hurting somebody, cutting somebody with a knife, or shooting somebody. Horrible. Well, I was justified. We've got to start teaching these kids in junior high and high school and college about how the human mind works and how our ego, our love of self, drives us forward. And if we feel hurt, we feel completely justified in getting you back. The young man in Frisco with his knife at the track meet who was on the wrong side of the bleachers, and the guy who was on the right side on that team was saying, hey, you don't belong here. And the young man said, come at me and see what happens. He was ready to teach him a lesson. The young man stood up. He shoved a knife into his heart and he died immediately. What in the world was he thinking? Thinking that that was okay. But that's done every day over in Gaza Strip. Killing somebody is okay. And so really I want to challenge all my psychologist friends and fellow professionals to dig in deep into what leads to that. Well, it's easy. Not getting your needs met as a child sets you up for these kind of thoughts and behaviors as an adult. Every psychologist, therapist, family therapist worth their salt knows that. And yet here we are, floating along in la-la land. You want to start what in high school? A class in mental health, healthy communication, and healthy parenting? Oh, well, that's not math, and that's not English skills, and that's not history. Okay, the other things are okay, but how can you take young people when they have to be in school and not teach them mental health and well-being techniques and concepts? It's shocking. It is unacceptable that we are not teaching this. And look at the result. Of course, the people mostly in Israel didn't go to high school in the United States, nor did the people in Gaza. Mostly did not go. But we've got to set the example here in the United States to have this class teaching mental health and well-being, and it'll spread around the world when we start realizing how much more healthy young people are as they go to college, as they get a job, as they fall in love, as they get married, and they start having babies. They'll be mentally prepared to do it well. I have so many families come in to see me, and I discover how the parent or both parents acted when the young people were kids, and it's just a disaster. And they very rightly might we didn't know. The famous country western singer who committed suicide eventually, her two daughters were upset with her and about her parenting, and she said, "If I had known better, I would have done better." Well, shame on you for not picking up one of these parenting books and studying it, and shame on all the adults in her state when she was young that didn't teach her about healthy parenting. What are we doing? Is this 1825? I'm kind of confused. This is 2025? We should have had a class in healthy parenting, healthy communication, healthy relationships in our schools for 100 years by now. What are we waiting for? And so I have to be sensitive to, I think, all the superintendents and all the principals and many of the teachers. Just their brain doesn't think in terms of mental health. How do we become as mentally healthy as we can be? They just don't think about that. Well, I'm fine. I've got a spouse and two kids, and we're happy, and our town is happy. And yes, very few students grow up to be Tyler Robinson. What made him so unhappy that made him have the idea to get a gun? He didn't like what Charlie Kirk was saying. So what do? Well, you get a gun and you go and pull a bullet in his neck. That's what you're supposed to do. What in the world? And this is, I assume they're Mormon. I guess they were a Christian family. Something went wrong when he was 2, 5, 10, 15. Something was not going right. And yet we've never interviewed mom and dad to see what that would be. Very few parents. I wish somebody would do the research. I would say no more than 5% of parents say there's something going wrong with my child and me, maybe our relationship. I'm going to go see a family therapist. maybe 5%. And the other 95% just wing it. Well, we're fine. He's a little sad. She's a little suicidal. It's no big deal. I mean, I'll send her to the school counselor or maybe an individual therapist, which is a good idea. But I'm sorry, all you individual therapists out there, it's not as good as having mom and dad and child or children in the office together. It's just not. Help me get out the word to the world that family therapy works, okay? And if we had had family therapy all through Israel and Gaza for the past 60, 70, 80 years, all this horrible bloodshed and billions of dollars of destruction wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't that have been better? I'm going to close with this. One brilliant Palestinian said, had I known we would have been destroyed by Israel like this, I wouldn't have supported October 7th. One, good for you that you're conscientious like that. And then when other Palestinians heard that, they said, no, we don't feel that way. That was taken out of context. We're proud of the fact that we went over and killed 1,200 Israelis in the most horrible, brutal way and took hundreds of hostages, starting a horrible war. We're proud of that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have to work on teaching the whole world to think of the other person. How is this going to affect them? And how might it bounce back on me? I mean, I'm okay with kind of thinking selfishly. What do I want? I want peace, comfort, safety, well-being, and joy. Okay, what are you going to do to make that happen? I'm not going to hit anybody. I'm not going to shoot anybody. I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm not going to attack anybody because they might come back at me. And I don't want that. Why can't we help the world know that this is the way to go? I came up with an acronym. I have the evil is EDM, ego defensive maneuver, or ego drive mechanism. The opposite of that is ABCDEFG. What does that stand for? It stands for being altruistic. The Latin word for other, caring about the other, is alter. So altruistic is just being thoughtful of the other person. Of course, we have the wonderful book Emotional Intelligence that also embraces that whole idea. Let me go through this. Altruistic behavior, Christ-like demeanor, empathy, and forgiveness, and graciousness, and humbleness or humility. Why aren't we teaching people about that? If anybody wants me to come to your school, your Sunday school class, your workplace to teach how to think about the people you work with, let me know. I will come there. I will just charge a little bit. I'm here for you. Call me 214-394-4040, 394-4040. I am Dr. Cedric Wood. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that was interesting and helpful. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.